the Heartthrobs music plays in the background. Our next inductee, his inductor could not be here tonight due to personal obligations, so I'm going to induct our next guy, and that would be Romeo Roselli. Romeo of the Heartthrobs, but as I first met him, Johnny Heartbreaker. This is a guy that's done some modeling, he's done a lot of acting. He's a New Yorker who ended up becoming a New England guy because he studied at the College of Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's won championships not only in the United States, but has won world titles in Italy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Romeo Roselli.
Antonio, you had 3, I had nobody. Pretty much sums up who was the better heartthrob. And everybody knows, let's face it, you were always the more talented one. Thanks, Joe. Congratulations to everybody. I'll try to keep it short as well. Ironically enough, this is my 20th year in the wrestling business. Started out at Sacred Heart University, where I heard there was a pro wrestler who was working out there. And I heard it was the cousin of Paul Roma, Alex Roma. Now, I'm not even sure if the story is that Alex was really Paul's cousin or not. I'm still not sure. I think he was. But I went up to Alex and I said, hey man, just like all of us did at least once, hey man, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. So he said, hey, there's this wrestling school up in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And that's where I started. And I started in the EWA with Nick Barbary. That's one name we haven't mentioned. And I met a lot of great people who became friends. Guys like Johnny Idol, who's helped me out quite a bit. Aaron Morrison, Chi Cruz, Mark Malibu, Gymnastic. Kid Makazi, I think he's did pretty well for himself. Evil Nick. Where's Evil Nick then? And of course, Antonio Promise Thomas. I worked quite a few shows with Aaron Morrison and Kurt. And the story that Kurt told you guys earlier on, where he had in 2000, he was just supposed to be in a battle royal, and he ended up working the main event. I was in the battle royal, and that was a show put on by Michael Bryan, who was giving me a lot of great opportunities. And yes, I was in the battle royal, and I was doing well until Delicious David Vicious came along. The late Delicious David. He was a big boy. Threw me over the top rope. Threw me over the top rope so hard that I landed on this arm. It popped. And then I officially went from Johnny Heartbreaker to Johnny Shoulder Breaker. And unfortunately, for the next 4 years, I would battle recurring shoulder injuries. And it wasn't easy because I dislocated 5 times in 5 matches. And the second time I needed to have surgery, I flew myself down to Birmingham, Alabama. And I got my surgery done by Dr. James Andrews, who you hear is, world renowned. Because I said to myself, if I'm going to get it done again, I want to get it done by the best, and I want to give myself the best chance possible. And there was a lot of life lessons there, and I think people have touched on the life lessons that we've all learned from wrestling. And it was that moment where I wiped out my entire life savings to pay for an operation, to fly myself down to Birmingham, Alabama, and to pay for the physical therapy for 2 months, that actually made me the person and the man I am today. Because that moment in time gave me the perseverance and drive to follow everything in my heart, and I'm proud to say that I've accomplished everything that I wanted to do. early on as well, we mentioned this name once before, I worked for Mike Sparta. And Mike liked his gimmicks. Mike liked his gimmicks. So Mike took one look at me, and Mike said, "Hey kid, you look just like Rick Martel. You look just like Rick Martel. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call you Johnny Martel. You're gonna be the cousin of Rick Martel. And then I want you to come out with the arrogance and then the everything, and we're gonna put you, Johnny Martel, the cousin of Rick Martel. It's gonna be great. And I'm putting you over, so don't screw me over, right?" And I'm like, a couple months in, I'm like, I gotta do this fake gimmick with this guy telling me I didn't know what was going on until I went up to Maine to work for EWA for the first time. And then Alexander Worthington says to me, "We got too many Johnnies on the show, so now you're gonna be Tommy Heartbreaker." So now I'm Johnny Martel and Tommy Heartbreaker. And I must say, as people have mentioned, we've had a lot of good times, Dr. Heresy and myself, and when I think of you, one of the first things I think of is our car rides with me, you, Kid Crazy, and Chris Hamrick down to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, if you know any of these people, and Chi-Chi, so just picture a 10-hour one-way car ride with Chi-Chi Cruz, Chris Hamrick, myself, and Dr. Harrison. They were quite the times. And another person, Tom, you kind of stole everyone's thunder, is Paula. Paula, thank you for all the rides, thank you for all the support, and thank you for all the rides. I'm getting through it. What a lot of you don't know or don't remember is I actually used to work for the WWE in the live events department. I got a job right out of college, right out of Sacred Heart, and I got to work at Stamford, Connecticut. And it was a pretty unique opportunity because I got to go downstairs into the gym, and then who was there? Vince, Triple H, Stephanie, and I'm working out next to Vince, Triple H, and Stephanie. Not many independent wrestlers can do that. One name that hasn't been mentioned that has been very influential in a lot of our careers is Dr. Tom Pritchard. I first met Dr. Tom when I started working up in Stamford, Connecticut, and I didn't want to tell anybody that I was an independent wrestler because I felt like they'd fire me. Oh, we got a mark in the building, so let's get rid of him. But I told Dr. Tom, and Dr. Tom was all for it. And I told him of my aspirations, and I said I want to move myself down to OVW, and I want to try to earn myself a WWE contract. And before I knew it, I was starting in the beginner class, and I was getting a job as a waiter. And before I knew it, I was in the intermediate class. And then before I knew it, I was in the contract class without a contract. Another name that I want to bring up who's been very influential, probably more influential to more guys, maybe in the history of the business, I could be wrong, is Tommy Dreamer. I can't think of a wrestler that hasn't crossed paths with Tommy Dreamer. And the office came down to OVW, and the office meeting, I think it was Stephanie, John Laurinaitis, and a couple writers. And they wanted to see all the contracted talent, and they invited a couple other non-contracted talent like myself. And I was very nervous, but I had nothing to lose. And another life lesson I learned is, people who have nothing to lose can be very freaking dangerous. So what I did was, I threw myself out there, and when I had to cut a promo, I don't know if you remember this, I cut a promo on Stephanie McMahon. And I told her she looked a little worse for wear, and I didn't have some very nice things to say about her. And the room was in stunned silence. And then they popped huge, and I could see Tommy Dreamer doing one of these. And I said, well, what do I have to lose? I don't even have a contract. So you can't fire me. And what ended up happening was, Tommy Dreamer comes up to me and says, because of the guts you showed there, and because of the way you progressed with your talent, that's what earns you a WWE contract. And I'm very proud of everything that I was able to do in WWE and outside of WWE. I had to work in my homeland of Italy, where my father was born, and I won the Italian championship. The local newspaper and TV came up, and my dad started to cry. And I'm a pretty emotional guy, and I'm surprised that I haven't broke down yet. I started to cry when you called me a brother. I started to cry when you talked about your mother. And as everyone's talking about, you have an amazing mother, Tom. I wish I could come up with some stories and some other things, but we were basically together for 4 years straight. I had to see that face for 4 years, and I had to travel with you for 4 years. And like you said, we had a lot of ups and downs, and it was some of the greatest moments of my life. And we can always look back, and a lot of people have told me, you know what? There's a lot of people that would chop off their right arms to be able to do what we did. And Madison Square Garden, in the center of the ring. I don't know if you remember this, but right before the lights were going to go out, you were wanting to get out of the ring. And I said, no, Tom, stay in the middle of the ring. We're in the center of Madison Square Garden right now, with our hands raised in the air, and just enjoy the moment. And those moments seem so far and few between. I'll wrap it up right now. I started going off the top. I'm very much into quotes, and there are literally thousands that I was contemplating to use, and I settled on this. It's good to have an end to journey towards, but it is the journey that matters in the end. The journey is the best part for all of us. The journey that professional wrestling has taken me on has made me the man I am today. It has taught me perseverance, hard work, sacrifice, humility, and so much more. I want to thank every single person I've ever encountered in wrestling for as little as 1 second, and thank all the wrestlers who I've had the pleasure to share the ring with. The past 20 years has taught me that wrestling is indeed a lot about life. Sometimes the bad guy wins. You can cheat when people's back are turned, and sometimes get away with it. And sometimes you get caught. Sometimes the good guy gets booed. You can win selfishly, and you can lose gracefully. Even though there are days we all wish we could change some things that happened in the past, or relive some of our fondest memories, there's a reason the rearview mirror is so small and the windshield is so big. As where we are headed is much more important than what we've left behind. I'll cherish all the memories and look forward to the future. Thank you very much.